Hello everyone, and welcome to the After Hours. This is the Effector series, episode 2. In this episode, we will be covering the basics of getting Effector added into React project. All scripts and steps will be published on my blog, which will be linked in the description. We will be using Vite, but usually the bundler choice is not really relevant as much to Effector ecosystem. More advanced subjects such as integration with SSR might require some special consideration, and they will be covered separately in future episodes. For the rest of this episode, I'll assume they're on the latest LTS version of Node and will be using npm. This should work with other package managers as well, but I'm not going to be covering the differences here. Let's begin by getting the scaffolding going. Excellent. We have an application with a counter implemented using hooks, so let's refactor it using Effector instead. First, let's update the ESLint configuration. We'll be using the recommended and React presets. We also need to add the required imports in our code. Let's create our store that would hold the value for the counter. Okay, so first thing you would notice is that the store is created outside of the component. Second is that there is a $sign prefix, which is a suggested naming convention. The ESLint plugin would tell us if we are not naming our units according to the rules. Stores are prefixed with $, effects are postfixed with FX, and events are simply verbs without any additional sigils. Let's see if we can observe the value of the store by watching it. Okay, now let's start doing the plumbing. First, we need to get the value of the store displayed on a page. For this purpose, we shall be using the useUnit hook from the Effector React package. Because this is a hook, it has to reside within the component scope. useUnit is more flexible and allows to wire up multiple stores and events in one call, but we will look at the advanced use cases later. If we look at the type of the Effector count, we shall see that it is a number, which makes sense since the default value of the store, 0, is a number. We can now insert it into our template. We now see the button and it does display Effector count is 0 indeed. Now let's make it functional. Stores are able to react to events, so let's create an event. We can actually watch an event as well. In Effector ecosystem, you can watch any unit, and stores, events, and effects are all units. Now, when we press the button, we can see the message in the console. Let's tie the store and event together with some business logic. There are a couple of ways we can do this. One is more universal but a bit more complex. Another is simple but does not work for all scenarios. The simple version looks like this. The more complex version is going to be leveraging one of the most commonly used functions in Effector, namely sample. It reads as follows. When increment is triggered, take the current value from $count, pass it through fn, and send the result out of that call to the $count store. If you were to keep both variants of the code and press the button, the store would increment by 2. However, through the magic of Effector, this causes only one re-render. Now let's take this one step further and extract all the logic code into its own file to fully decouple it from the UI. Here's the contents of our modal file. And we'll modify our component code to simply import all the necessary bits from the modal. But what if we want to reuse this logic for a separate counter? Well, Effector does require to create all links between units ahead of time. It does not work well with dynamically created stores, though there are several developments on that front. Right now, the best way to encapsulate this is by creating a factory. A factory is simply a function that takes parameters and returns some units. In order to make it a bit easier for ourselves, we can leverage the withese factories library that helps a bit with this. This library mostly helps in more advanced scenarios that I will not be covering right now, but we might get into the habit right away. In the component body, we'll make the following changes. Now we can lift the counter itself into a separate component that would take the counter business logic via props. And now we use it. Two fully independent counters backed by the same business logic. In the next episode, we're going to look into more advanced usages of Effector. I hope to see you there. Thank you and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.